Hello and welcome back to another Dare to Game video. Today we're playing Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 and we're doing a armor guide for 3 suits of armor this time. All of them following the same theme, which is over the top, golden and gaudy. So this is royal or imperial, however you want to look at it. It's a gold and purple combination, which is very, very fancy, well above Henry's station. It does not fit my personal style, but I will say A, I think these suits of armor look very good. And B, I could understand how if you were trying to roleplay as an over-the-top, super rich Henry who was way, way more above everyone he meets in the game, except maybe King Sigismund, then any of these suits of armor are going to be perfect for you. So let's just dive on in and start off with the first one, which is the Royal Regalia. And so keeping things simple with the weapons for all 3 of these suits of armors, we're going to keep them the same. The longsword of the 4 evangelists, which is one of the best longswords in the game. It's one of the fanciest looking and one of the most valuable, so it definitely fits with these suits of armor. And then of course the rondel dagger, because we need a dagger, and the rondel dagger is the fanciest and of course most expensive dagger that you can have. So those are the only 2 weapons we're going to have. Obviously you could pair whatever weapons you want, but I feel like a longsword is the right choice for this suit of armor and the other 2 that we're going to be looking at. So that's it for weapons. As far as the items that make up the suit of armor, most of them are going to be crucial to the suit. A couple of them don't matter a ton, but I'll show you the ones I chose. So the ones that don't matter a ton, obviously the noble's belt and noble's pouch. The suit could be perfectly fine without them, but whenever I can do best in class, I do, and those are the best ones there. Same thing goes for the jewelry, the golden cross ring and the golden cross with garnets. Of course, that doesn't matter for anything other than adding value to the suit. Prestige to you, of course, because your charisma is higher. Same thing goes for the noble's spurs. And then you don't really see the bottom layer too much as far as mail goes, I should say. But the hauberk long is what I went with for the chainmail because it's the best in class. And the same thing goes for this mail collar with a badge. Or with badge, I just went with the one with the yellow shield on it because it matches the color the best for the rest of this. The rest of them actually matter. So we have the noble's bassinet here. And you can see that if we take the mail collar with badge off, the noble's bassinet that we have here actually does not have an attached aventail, so it is unique in that way. But this one obviously we're using here is gold, so that's the distinct color variant that we have there. For the cuirass, we have the cuirass with folds. It's this variant with the gold upper part and then the purple folds on the bottom. And then to go along with that, we have the noble laminar sleeves with the purple up top with the gold studs and then the gold for the rest of the sleeve. The Nuremberg gauntlets, the solid gold variant there. The noble's quilted trousers are our pants. Those are purple, so it matches the purple and gold color scheme here. And then the Saxon plate legs, we once again have the gold variant with the purple little fringes below the knees. So that is the entire suit and, you know, what it needs. Or I should say that is almost all of it. There's one other variant because we have a Waffenrock to use, but this is the version without the Waffenrock, so let's take a look at that outside. So this is what it looks like with the helmet up. Obviously, it's just going to look slightly different with the helmet down, but you can see details on this one are really good, and of course the purple and gold looks extraordinarily fancy. You know, all together I'd say that it's very obvious that you're going for royalty here.
Interesting.
So with the visor down, this is what it looks like. Obviously, like I said, not a huge change, but you know, I think it's a good looking helmet. But that is what it looks like without the Waffenrock.
Cool.
Then with the Waffenrock, you can see I actually prefer this better because that's a really cool looking Waffenrock and it adds quite a bit more purple to our outfit, which helps it not look quite as gaudy. So it still looks incredibly fancy. And of course, the Waffenrock looks very, very fancy in and of itself. But I think the additional purple really helped even things out. So that is what the Royal Regalia outfit looks like with the Waffenrock on. As far as stats on the suit of armor, including everything, you know, so the weapons and everything all put together, we have a total weight of 114 pounds. So we're not at 120, which is the normal weight for a full suit of plate armor like this. So it's slightly on the light side for heavy plate armor, but still considerable weight. The value for this, including everything, is 30,526.6 groschen, and the AAR, or average armor rating, is 201.5. So it has officially crossed over the threshold of the unstoppable tank. As far as that goes, this is, you know, what the Royal Regalia looks like. So like I said, we have 2 variants. We have this variant, which is just the cuirass in and of itself without the Waffenrock, and then the one with the Waffenrock. So those are the 2 variants of the Royal Regalia. Now let's go ahead and look at the next suit of armor we're going to be looking at. All right, and so the next suit of armor we're looking at is the Golden Milanese Armor. So it's clearly an ornamented variant of the Milanese armor, and this one is entirely golden. So the weapons remain unchanged. The armor itself only has a couple items that change out. So we swapped out the plain black coif for a mail hood with coat of arms, but we kept the same mail collar, even though it's invisible, under our Italian bassinet. And of course we have this gold variant with the neat plain mail aventail, which I actually think looks really good. We swapped out the cuirass with folds for the Milanese cuirass, and we're using this gold highly ornamented variant. Our sleeves and gauntlets changed as well. We have a variant of the Nuremberg gauntlets, which is gold and heavily ornamented, and same for the plate sleeves. It's gold and heavily ornamented, and I believe that our accents are even purple-ish on them as well, so it maintains that same theme. And then our legs are swapped out for the Noble's plate legs, again the heavily ornamented gold variant. So overall this one is a little bit more flashy and gaudy than the last one, but somehow I still like it more than the last one, possibly just because of the fact that I like the Italian helmet and the Milanese cuirass so much that they just make it such a good looking suit of armor in my opinion. So overall stats on this one are not too different from the first one we looked at. We have a total weight of 114 pounds, so it actually stays exactly the same for the weight, so pretty weird coincidence there. Our value on this one is 23,092.7 groschen. So we're actually about 7,000 groschen cheaper than that first variant. So considering I'd say arguably this one looks fancier, it's interesting that it's actually cheaper. Then our AAR, or average armor value for this one, is 217.6, bring our average armor value up about 16 points. So it's actually obviously both of them are above the unstoppable tank, so you're dealing with a very, very high-end suit of plate armor for either of these suits that we've looked at so far, but this one is considerably higher. So let's take a look at the suit outside of the menu. This is what it looks like with the helmet down. So once again, like I said, we've got that same sort of gold and purple vibe coming through. The gambeson we're wearing underneath is purple, our pants remain purple, and then we have these dark accents on the sleeves that are black with gold trim on them, but from a distance, especially with the other purple, that, like I said, they kind of look purplish. But the ornamentation is just extremely heavy. So the Milanese cuirass normally has this fluting, but we get this whole lower abdominal section with, of course, the fleur-de-lis all over the place and the decorative engravings below that. We have the sleeves, which of course look ridiculously over the top. Vincit, qui sait vincit, right there on the sleeves. And then just, the ornamentation all over them is so over the top and detailed that I don't even know where to start when describing it. So that's why I'm showing it to you here. And then the legs follow suit, of course. We have that fluting up on the upper thighs. The knees are heavily ornamented, and we have fluting down on the shins all the way down to, of course, gold sabatons. So overall, it's just a tremendously good looking suit of armor, and I'm naturally going to gravitate toward this one because the Italian bassinet and the Milanese cuirass are two of my absolute favorite armor pieces in the entire game. So that is the Golden Milanese Armor. Let's move on to our final set that we're looking at today. And so we have our final set in front of us here, which is just the Golden Noble's Armor. So I don't know, this is maybe feels a little bit too fancy for a nobleman, but be that as it may, it is still what we're calling it because we only have to swap out a couple parts from the last one to make this one. So we once again went back to our plain padded coif instead of our chainmail coif with coat of arms, just because we wanted to have that visible aventail. If you don't have that on and you have the regular one, it just gives you that sleeveless or that aventail-less look because the helmet overrides it. So I prefer the look of it with the aventail. So that's why I went back to the plain padded coif. But the helmet we swapped out, we went from the Italian bassinet to the Noble's bassinet. And of course, we're using this gold variant. And then the cuirass we swapped out from the Milanese cuirass to the Noble's cuirass. Once again, a gold variant. Everything else remains the same. All the other extraneous items, the Nuremberg gauntlets, Nuremberg plate sleeves, and Noble's plate legs are exactly the same items that we had in the Golden Milanese Armor. You can tell that the appearance changes a lot considering we only really swapped out two critical pieces. So stats on this one, it's 109.1 pounds for the total weight. So it's actually a little bit lighter than both of the other suits that we looked at, which is always fun. Still over 100 pounds, but nothing crazy. Our total value on this one is actually the cheapest one of today at 22,782.9 groschen. So it's still above 20,000 groschen, so it's still a very, very expensive suit of armor, immersion and roleplay wise, but it's actually the cheapest one out of the three that we've looked at. And then our AAR, or average armor rating on this one, is 210.6, placing it right in the middle of these two. It's about 9 points higher than the first one we looked at, and about 7 points lower than that Golden Milanese armor we looked at. So middle of the road, but still obviously an unstoppable tank, ridiculously high quality armor, and very, very fancy. As you've probably been able to tell, conspicuousness, noise, and visibility are all very high on all of these suits of armor, and our charisma is of course maxed out. So let's take a look at this one outside of the menu. So with the helmet visor down, this is what it looks like. So arguably, possibly the fanciest looking suit out of all of them, because we have that full aventail on there, and the bassinet that we're wearing is of course very, very decorative. It's solid gold and has a fair amount of engraving. Sleeves and gauntlets and plate legs all remain the same as the last one we looked at, so of course just ridiculously over the top and extremely ornamented. And then that cuirass has a ton of stuff going on. So the upper abdominal covering has striped engraving down the middle, making it very, very fancy, and we have the entire lower fold section being entirely engraved. So everything on this suit of armor just looks ridiculously fancy. I don't know how many times I've said that word in this video now, but it feels like a lot. So I mean, let me know in the comment section which of these 3 suits of armor, or I guess 4 if you consider the Royal Regalia to be 2 different variants, you know, with or without the Waffenrock, which of these is the most over-the-top, ridiculously fancy? Which one would make Sigismund blush in shame at how fancy and expensive and gaudy this armor is? But that is all 3 of the armor guides. So now just a discussion of how to get these. Unfortunately, these are not vanilla assets in the game, as anybody who's familiar with the game at all would be able to tell you. These are all added in with mods. There are 2 mods that you'll need to have if you want to be able to create all 3 of these suits of armor. And the first one is going to be the Silver Lease gear, which I've actually showed on the channel before. This one is up to date and stable with the current version of the game, as that is what I'm recording this video on, and it was uploaded by Red Hazmat. This one, it adds just a ton of different gear to the game, most of which can be purchased from a trader in Kuttenberg, so I'll have that mod linked in the description. It's definitely one, if you're looking for a mod, you know, one mod that adds more gear than any other mod in the game, this is the one to use, because it's just got a ton. Now, mind you, most of it is extremely fancy armor, so it doesn't add a whole lot in the range of what I would consider realistic roleplay gear, but if you like being really fancy, it does add a lot of that. So that's the first one you're going to need, and the second mod you're going to need, and the one that, of course, the video is named after and what inspired me to make this video, is the Royal Regalia mod, which was updated by Zarius87. That will also be linked in the description, and that one is the one that adds in the purple elements and can even add in a matching caparison and chanfron for your horse. So all of that can be accessed through the Royal Regalia mod. That mod on the description page of that mod has all of the console commands needed to add in all of these items. I'll also have them all listed in the description just for your ease of use. I definitely recommend checking out these mods. If you try them and like them, definitely leave endorsements, because you know that's useful for the mod authors. But that is all for today. Hope you enjoyed this video. We'll see you next time. Thanks for watching another Dare to Game video. If you like this video, please leave a like and a comment. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to the channel. If you like my content and would like to support this channel, consider becoming a member today for as little as $1.99 a month. It makes a huge difference. But in any case, thanks for watching and have a nice day. I'll see you next time.